Okay, today we'll discuss about fisheries. Okay, we'll discuss about fisheries. That means fisheries also form a part of animal husbandry. Okay, so our livestock. So we'll discuss about this fisheries. So fishery is an industry devoted to the catching. Okay, that means when you observe the fishery, okay, it is also considered as an industry. Okay, in which it refers to catching of fish, processing of fish, okay, and selling of fish. Okay, selling of fish. So all these three are present. Catching. First, we have to catch, and we have to properly preserve, and we need to be transported. And after getting transported, it is sold in the market. Okay, to the customers. Okay, that is selling of fish. Okay, not only the nor okay finfish. Okay, we have got shellfishes. Shellfishes means like snails, pearl oysters. Okay, okay, and next crabs. Okay, these all will comes under shellfish. Okay, and other aquatic animals. Any other aquatic animals we are all they comes under the fishery commonly. Okay, that is. And next, a large number of our population is dependent on fish products, and other aquatic animals such as prawn. Okay, when you observe, okay, a lot of the people that are present on the mainly on the coastal line have got this fisheries or catching of fish is an occupation. So they solely depend upon the fish that is captured from the either inland or marine fishes. Okay, either inland or marine fishes. Okay, that is most of the people that are especially living in the coastal region. Okay, they are depending upon this fisheries. Okay, usually when you observe the fisheries, okay, they are okay, they not only depend upon fish, okay, they on their fish products and other aquatic animals. Okay, and other aquatic animals such as prawns. Okay, as food. Okay, we'll eat prawns as food material, crabs, lobsters, edible oysters. Okay, these are also comes under the fisheries only. Okay, these are different aquatic animals which are used as a food. Okay, etc. for food. Okay, along with that, okay, that means we have got when you observe the fin fishes are often categorized into two. That is based upon their habitat. That is whether they are freshwater or marine water. Okay, some of the freshwater fishes which are very common include katla, rohu, and common carp. Okay, katla, rohu, and common carp. Okay, these are all the commonly used fish as a food material of freshwater. There is the katla, rohu, and common carp. Okay, katla, rohu, and common carp. And next, some of the marine fishes. Okay, some of the marine fishes that are eaten include. Okay, some of the marine fishes that are eaten include hilsa, sardines, mackerel, and pomfrets. These are commonly eaten marine fishes. Okay, that is hilsa, sardine, mackerel, and pomfrets. Okay, that is. And next, when you observe here, okay, Okay, find out what fishes are commonly eaten in your area. Generally, in our area, we'll eat the katla and the rohu. Okay, these are the commonly eaten fishes in our local area. Okay, because we are okay, those who are present close to the sea. Okay, they can get this marine fishes. Okay, in this part we'll find hilsa and sardines. Okay, hilsa and sardines are commonly appeared in the Indian waters of marine. Okay, and next, when you observe the fisheries as an important place in Indian economy, so that means we are exporting a lot of fish and fish products. So okay, the India is gaining certain economy by exporting this fish and fish products. Okay, that's why fisheries became an important place in Indian economy. Even okay, when you observe, even during the lockdown, during the COVID, okay, they didn't stop the export of fishes. Okay, it was continued. That was given the prior importance because of the importance of this fish and the fish products. Okay, and next, it provides income and employment to various or to millions of fishermen and farmers in the coastal states. Okay, that means those states which are having this marine border or coastal areas. Okay, in those, okay, for those people, it is providing income and employment to a lot of fishermen and farmers. Okay, and for many, it is the only source of their livelihood. Okay, some of the fishermen who are especially living in the coastal areas, who are living in the coastal areas, they are mainly depending upon this catching of fish from the waters in their nearby place. So it formed as a only source of livelihood. Okay, and next, in order to meet the increasing demand fisheries, different techniques have been employed to increase production. So not only catching up the fishes from the natural water bodies, not only catching the fish from the natural water bodies, nowadays a lot of artificially created ponds are developed to rear the or to prepare to rear the fishes. Okay, to rear the fishes, to to fulfill the needs of this fish demand. Okay, so that's why we are saying, okay, in order to meet the increasing demands on fisheries, different techniques have been employed to increase production. So that means use of different types of nets and okay, mechanized boats. Okay, like that. Okay, and next some large ships they are using to catch up the fishes. Okay, so okay, as the production of the this production of these fisheries have been increased. So they have divided these fisheries into two types. For example, through aquaculture and pisciculture, we have been able to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals. So what is meant by this aquaculture and pisciculture? Okay, aquaculture refers to all the aquatic animals and plants, even the plants rearing up. Okay, for some commercial purpose, we are growing some aquatic plants, either they are having some medicinal value or some other economic importance we are having. So for that purpose, we are growing this aquatic plants. At the same time, all the aquatic animals, okay, it may be the fishes or okay, fishes or crabs, lobsters, prawns, oysters, snails, whatever you take, all they comes under the aquaculture. So aquaculture refers to rearing of all the aquatic animals and plants. But what is mean by pisciculture? Pisciculture means, okay, growing of fin fishes or rearing of fin fishes. Fin, okay, fins. That means okay, under the pisces, whatever the fishes that were included under the Pisces classes, okay, class Pisces, that is Cyclostomata, okay, Chondrichthyes, Osteichthyes. Among these three groups, whatever the fishes if we are rearing belonging to these three groups, that is Cyclostomata, okay, and next are Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes. All they comes under the pisciculture. So pisciculture refers to only rearing of fin fishes, whereas aquaculture refers to all the aquatic animals and plants, whatever it may be. It is okay. Okay. So by using this aquaculture and pisciculture, we have been able to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals, both freshwater and marine. Both freshwater and marine. Okay. Find out the difference between pisciculture and aquaculture. Already I told you, pisciculture is the rearing of fin fishes, whereas the aquaculture refers to all the aquatic plants and animals. All the aquatic, whether they are freshwater or marine water, where okay, whether it is a finfish or normal, okay, or crabs or prawns or lobsters, okay, oysters, snails, and other aquatic plants, whatever it is, okay, all they comes under this aquaculture. So pisciculture is a part of aquaculture. Okay, pisciculture is a part of aquaculture because aquaculture includes all aquatic, but the pisciculture includes only rearing of fin fishes. Okay, that is. And next, this has led to the development and flourishing of the fishery industry. And it has brought a lot of income to the farmers in particular and country in general. Okay, so with the differentiation of all this, okay, we have developed some new techniques, a new new processes, okay, in rearing, catching, okay, processing and selling of fishes. As a result, okay, the fishery industry has flourished well and increased the income of the farmers, okay, and economy of the country also, and economy of the country also. Okay, we now talk about the blue revolution as being implemented along the same lines as green revolution. So here we can observe the different types of revolutions. Revolutions mean has been increased, okay, increased a lot in a certain period of time, and that period we are calling it as that particular revolution. For example, we can take okay, blue revolution. Blue revolution refers to aquatic, increase in the production of aquatic animals. Okay, green revolution, increase in the food production, food grains, increase in the okay, the period during which there is an enormous increase in the food grains, production of food grains. White revolution, that is a milk production, increase in the milk. Silver revolution, that is egg production. Okay, yellow revolution, that is oil seeds, increase in the production of oil seeds. Okay. Revolution, that is increase in the production of meat. Okay, like that we have got different types of revolutions which have been developed at a certain period of time. Okay, to increase the production of
Sir,
certain
blue
components.
revolution.
Ma?
Sir,
Blue
blue
revolution,
revolution.
aquatic
Yes,
fishes,
sir.
increase in the food product. Okay, increase in the production of fishes. Okay, green revolution, increase in the production of food grains like rice, wheat.
Yes, sir.
White revolution, milk, increase in the milk production.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
yellow revolution, that is oil seeds
Pink
production. Okay, increase in the production of oil seeds. Silver revolution, that is increase in the production of egg. Okay, pink revolution, increase in the production of meat. Okay, like that. Okay, different types of revolutions we have brought. Okay, by using different techniques and different procedures. Okay, different processes. Okay, we improved a lot by increasing the breeds. Okay, increasing the different types of breeds, hybrid varieties we have developed, so that we increased the production of certain components during certain period of that. Okay, of that this blue revolution and green revolution has got more importance, and along with that milk production also. Okay, Kurian is responsible for okay, this white revolution in India. He only started this Amul dairy. Okay, you know what is the full form of Amul?
Don't know, sir.
You don't know.
All India Milk Products.
Anand Milk Union Limited. Okay, it is a cooperative society. It was started as a cooperative society by the local people. Okay, together they started along with the. Okay, it was started as a cottage industry, but later it has improved, and now it is considered as the mother dairy in India. So whatever the milk that is collected, okay, from different parts of India, finally they are transferred to the Amul, which is present in Gujarat. Okay, if any excess milk is there, okay, that one either in the form of milk or in the products, in the form of milk products, finally it will be transferred to the, it will be, okay, either it is made into, okay, milk powder. Okay, finally it will be transferred to the Amul that is present in Gujarat. From there it will be distributed to different places where it is required. Okay, because this milk powder and milk products, they are used in different one okay, in making of okay, infant food material, okay, or in making of any other sweets or something like that. Okay, they will be transferred. Okay, that is about this animal husbandry. Anybody is having any doubt up to now? Okay, and the next one, that is the plant breeding. Okay, plant breeding. Traditional farming can only yield a limited biomass as a food for humans and animals. Okay, that is when you observe, okay, we are using the traditional farming methods. Okay, generally when you observe the farmer, now we have got that one, but in the olden days when we initially started the agriculture, when we initially started the agriculture. That means when the human left the nomadic life. Okay, from then onwards, he started agriculture. Okay, he started agriculture. In that, they used the traditional farming techniques. That means what he used to do. Okay, yes, okay, selected one land area. Okay, in that land area, he used to sow some seeds, and he used to raise the crop. And okay, what he will do? Okay, that is for that season. If you want to raise the new crop in the next season, what he will do means he will select. Okay, he will select the plants which are healthily growing and producing large amount of seeds. And from those plants, he used to collect the seeds, and those seeds are preserved to raise the crop in the next season. And so that he can improve the production better in the next. And again, in the next season also, from his crop field, again, he will select certain plants which are healthily and more food grains are produced. And from those plants, he used to collect the seeds, and they are so preserved and used to raise the plants in the next season. Like that, he used to do every time. He tries to improve the qualities of that crop plants. Okay, that is called traditional farming. And he used to plug, okay, by using certain animals, or by himself, or by using some animals. He used to plug. Okay, in those days, no proper irrigation. Okay, when he has to place the plant, okay, water or something like that, that techniques, everything he doesn't know. Simply he used to sow the seeds, and he used to raise the plants. Okay, he obtained no fertilizers, no insecticides, no pesticides, nothing. Simply used to sow the seeds, obtain the plants, collect the harvest. Okay, and next, okay, and again used to raise the next. That is the method. So by using this traditional farming, the production rate is very less, because we are not using any techniques. Okay, we are not using any fertilizers, we are not using any protections. Okay, protection like insecticides and pesticides are not given, and no proper irrigation methods. Simply, okay, the plant completely depends upon the rainfall, because in those days, no dams, nothing. In those days, no dams and no, okay, reservoirs, something like that, to store water and to undergo irrigation. So that is, so traditional farming can only yield a limited biomass as humans and animals. So okay, the food is you required, because we are rearing the animals. Okay, for that animals also we need to provide food, and for a human. So that is, so to increase the biomass, or to increase the production, food production, so better management practices. So what are the techniques we have to follow? Means the first one is a better management practices. Okay, okay, plugging the soil properly, sowing the seeds at a regular time. Okay, at a particular period of time, according to the season. Okay, and next, okay, we have to provide insecticides, pesticides, and we have to provide irrigation. That means we have to provide water whenever the plant requires. And next, we have to harvest at the right time, and the harvested product should be properly preserved. Okay, because if you don't preserve properly, it will be eaten by different, or it may be contaminated by some insects, or it can be damaged by the rodents. So it should be properly preserved. Okay, all this has to be done. That is, okay, these are all we calling it as a better management practices. And next, increase in acreage can increase yield, but only to a limited extent. That means we have to increase the cultivated land. Okay, acres of land. Okay, acres of land for cultivation we have to increase. But even if you increase, but the available land is limited only, no. Okay, the available land is limited. Okay, because most of it is most of the earth is covered with water, and the okay, whatever the land area that is available, that is used for construction of houses for living, and most of it is covered with the forest, and some most of, okay, and some with the desert, which is unable to undergo cultivation. Only a small land is available for cultivation. So even if you increase to certain extent, but that is not up to the mark, the demand of the food material. So, but only a limited extent. That means we are able to increase the food production only to a limited extent by using this better management practices and increasing the area of cultivation, cultivated land area. Okay, cultivated land area. So, okay, so to increase the food production, we have to develop some other techniques, and that can be by breeding. So, plant breeding as a technology has helped increase yields to a very large extent. Okay, by using a plant breeding techniques, that means only by management practices. Okay, only by management practices we are not able to increase the food production. So, if we add this one, that is a plant breeding technique or plant breeding technology, if you are okay, if you are using this plant breeding technology, okay, then the production rate has been increased enormously. Okay, when you observe here, who in India has not heard of Green Revolution, which was responsible for our country to not merely meet the national requirements in food production, but also helped us even to export it. So that means in India, we have undergone a green revolution. Under this green revolution program, okay, the food production was increased enormously in such a way that the food is made available to all the people in India. At the same time, we are also able to produce more than the required for our people that is present in India. As a result, we are able to export to other countries also. Okay, because of this green revolution. Okay, okay, and who is responsible for this green revolution in India means who means that is MS Swaminathan. Already while we are discussing about this unit at the starting, we have discussed about MS Swaminathan. Okay, Mankombu Sambasivan Swaminathan. Okay, he is the he is the person who is responsible for a green revolution in India. Okay, he only developed the semi-dwarf varieties of wheat and rice in India and increased the production rate by 3 times. Almost 3 times. So the fruit production was increased by 3 times because of the introduction of this new hybrid varieties named as semi-dwarf varieties of wheat and rice. Okay, and by with the help of this green revolution, okay, with the programs that were developed by this green revolution or with the new hybrids that were developed as a result of green revolution, okay, we not only produced the food grains in large quantity to meet the demands of our Indian population, but we are able to export to other countries also. Okay, and next when you observe here, the green revolution was dependent to a large extent on plant breeding techniques for development of high yielding and disease resistant varieties in wheat, rice, maize, etc. So under the program, okay, under the program of green revolution, okay, we have increased the food production mainly by using plant breeding techniques. Okay, by using this plant breeding techniques, we have developed some new hybrid varieties of high yielding varieties and disease resistant varieties. Okay, that means here there is no need of insecticides and pesticides. Without using this insecticides and pesticides, the plants itself are able to, okay, resist against the diseases, certain diseases. Without, okay, that means it has reduced the usage of insecticides and pesticides. As a result, the cost of production has been reduced to the farmers. Okay, especially related to wheat, rice, and maize, which are the major food grains that we use as a food material. Okay, and next, what is meant by plant breeding? Okay, plant breeding. Okay, plant breeding is the purposeful manipulation of plant species. Manipulation means change. Here the manipulation means undergoing certain changes. Okay, we are manipulating, we are undergoing certain changes in the plant varieties by using certain techniques. Okay, plant breeding is the purposeful, that means okay, that means to improve its quality, to improve the quantity. Okay, that is so plant breeding is the purposeful manipulation. Manipulation means change of plant species in order to create a desired plant types that are best suited for cultivation, give better yields, and the disease resistant. So what are the main, okay, what are the main characteristics on which we are focusing by using this plant breeding technique means to improve the, okay, the plant species by using plant breeding technique means what are the main characteristics, which is means the first one, best suited for cultivation. That means it is able to grow in any environmental conditions. Okay, it can grow in a high water, okay, high water, that is if even in water, or they are able to grow in arid conditions, they are able to grow in salty soils. Okay, even they are able to grow in dry conditions. Like that, we are able to develop different varieties that is best suited for cultivation. And next, give better yield. That means the production rate is also more. And disease resistant. That means they by themselves able to resist to the diseases. That means they can prevent occurrence of the diseases. So these are the three characters mainly we have focused by using this plant breeding technique to improve the plant species, to increase the production, or to attain the green revolution. Okay. And next, actually, we have followed the conventional plant breeding technique. Conventional means traditional. From the long time, what the farmers are adopted. Okay, that is called conventional plant breeding or traditional plant breeding. So conventional plant breeding has been practiced for thousands of years since the beginning of human civilization. So since the human civilization or since the okay, human settlements have started, okay, since the human has okay left the nomadic life, from then onwards we started this cultivation. Okay, from then onwards we are using this conventional method or traditional method of plant breeding, but we don't know that is plant breeding, but we are okay, we are using. Okay, already I told you, know the best ones. Okay, the plants which are growing, from them the seeds are collected and they are grown for the next season. Okay, that is also a type of plant breeding every farmer is adopting. So that is, so conventional plant breeding has been practiced for thousands of years since the beginning of human civilization. recorded evidence of plant breeding dates back to 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. So that means, okay, that means since the human has started the cultivation, from then onwards, this plant breeding was started. So when we have started the cultivation means since some around 9,000 to 11,000 years ago onwards, we have started this plant breeding along with the cultivation. Okay, and next, present day crops are the result of domestication in ancient times. Okay, whatever the plant crops that we are growing, they are no more wild plants. No more. Okay, we don't find any crop plant that we are growing. They are no more wild. They are all improved varieties only. They are all improved varieties only, because the wild varieties have, okay, they are not have that much a better production. Okay, they may have disease resistance, or they may have some other characteristics, but the production rate will be very less in that wild varieties. But due to the plant breeding techniques that were employed since very long period of time, gradually the production has been increased. So that we are growing, whatever the crop plants that we are growing, they were no more as considered as wild. They are all improved varieties. So whatever the crop plants that we are growing now, they are all as a result of domestication in ancient times. So from ancient times we are improving. Today all our major food crops are derived from domesticated varieties. So once upon a time all these are wild varieties only, but slowly they have been improved. And they developed the present day crop plants. Okay, when you observe here, classic plant breeding involves crossing or hybridization of pure lines followed by artificial selection to produce a plant with desirable traits of higher yield, nutrition, and resistance to diseases. So when you observe this traditional method of plant breeding or conventional method or classical method of plant breeding, here what they are doing, okay, they select two plants which are showing the desired characters, and these two plant varieties are crossed, and this process we are calling, as they belongs to two different varieties, okay, we are calling it as a hybridization, and the resultant ones we are calling it as a hybrids, and these hybrids followed by natural selection, sorry, followed by artificial selection, sorry, we only will select. That means in the hybrids, sometimes we may get desired characters containing plants, and sometimes the undesired characters may also get developed. Okay, so this undesired, how we can able to differentiate or how we can able to improve the desired characters means by artificial selection. That means after obtaining, after crossing or after hybridization, the hybrids are obtained and the characteristics of these hybrids are tested, whether they are showing the desired characters that which we are looking for. If they are showing the desired characters, okay, we'll continue. Okay, if we don't, okay, if the hybrids are not showing the all the desired characters, those hybrids will be discarded. Okay, that is called as artificial selection. So plant breeding involves a crossing or a hybridization of pure lines, followed by artificial selection to produce plants with the desirable traits. of a higher yield. That means what are the main characters that we observe means the first one is the higher yield, nutrition, that is a quality of that food grain, that means as it is rich in proteins, okay, or carbohydrates or fats or minerals or vitamins, okay, that is whatever we are looking for. Okay, those qualities all are present or not. And the third one is very, very important, that is the resistance to diseases. Because if they are not resistant to diseases, okay, the plants will be regularly prone to diseases and the yield will be reduced. Or the farmer has to use regularly some insecticides and pesticides to protect the plant from diseases. Okay, so we are using, okay, in the olden days, we used to use this classical plant breeding techniques to improve the plant varieties. But now, okay, with advancement in science, especially in genetics, with advancements in genetics, molecular biology, and tissue culture, plant breeding is now increasingly being carried out by using molecular genetic tools, that is biotechnology. Now, this biotechnology has grown as showing its immense, okay, we are using this biotechnological techniques to increase the food production, and it is playing a very important role in increasing the food production and also to develop a new varieties, okay, okay, that is okay, that is the introduction to this plant breeding. Okay, and tomorrow we'll discuss about the traditional method of plant breeding and what purpose of this plant breeding has been introduced.